Today, I got a brand new HP 14-inch laptop. I'm going to do a quick SSD upgrade and a clean Windows 10 install. That's it. Hey guys, how's it going? Dale here. Today I have a brand new HP 14-inch laptop. It's a touchscreen. It's got the Ryzen 3 3250 APU with the Radeon graphics, of course. It came with 8 gigabytes of DDR4 memory in one slot. There is a second slot, but I'm not going to add any extra RAM. The customer didn't want to upgrade the RAM. They simply want to go to a larger SSD, an M.2 drive. This will not accommodate a 2.5-inch drive of any kind. Basically, you know, these types of laptops ship out in S mode, so they want to get out of S mode, and so we're going to give them more storage, because the whole idea of S mode is so going to use OneDrive on the cloud. So I'm going to help them with all that. What is in it right now is just the 128 gigabyte M.2 SATA SSD. However, this will accept an NVMe PCI Express M.2 SSD. We're going with the Crucial P2 M.2 500 gig NVMe drive. NVMe drives does work in this model. I've done 3 or 4 of these already. It's a pretty new, brand new model. In fact, this model ships with 20H2 on it. So I'm going to take out the old SSD or the factory one, put in the 500 gig. I'll do a clean, fresh install of Windows 10, 20H2, then get all the necessary or any necessary drivers from HP if Windows doesn't take care of it. This is not a gaming computer per se. It will play some light games just because it's a Ryzen 3 with the type APU with the IGP. So it should be all right with 8 gigs of RAM and a 500 gig NVMe drive. So let me just go ahead and shut it down. Show you how to open it up, pop in the new SSD, do a fresh clean install. Go ahead and unplug my power cord. Now before you start any project like this, guys, always make sure you're protected against static discharge, static electricity. All our bench tops and floors are anti-static, so I don't need to worry about it. But get a ESD wristband or a mat or both, and just make sure you're protected before you get inside. And once you do get inside, don't touch anything you don't have to. Good rule of thumb. So I'm going to close the lid. I'm going to use a number 0 Phillips screwdriver. Make sure you use tools with good quality tips so you're not messing up your screw heads. This guy here has some screws underneath these rubber bumpers. We have to peel these off in the front and back, but there's a couple screws on each side, and then there's 2 in the front here that are exposed. So let me go ahead and just get the screws out. Now there are several different lengths or types of screws, so make sure you lay them out in such a way you can get them back in the right holes that you took them out of. So let me get these out as quick as I can, guys. Like these 2 in the front corners here, in the front, they're very, very short. Just those 2. So you don't want to try to put a long screw in there, it'll not work. These 2 screws here on the sides are the same. And those are the ones that are exposed. So very carefully, take something with a sharp, pointy edge. All right, guys, I'm back. Duty called. Sorry. So anyway, we got to peel up these rubber bumpers in the front and the back. Now, the one in the front of the laptop is very thin. The one in the back is quite a bit thicker, so it's easy to remember which one goes where. But when you peel these up, there's just a self-adhesive, absolutely thin layer of tape that's attached between this and the laptop. Sometimes when you peel these up, you just got to get in there carefully and get it started with something very thin. Try not to scratch your chassis there and leave tool marks. But when you peel it up, well, in this case it's coming up the way it's supposed to. Sometimes it'll leave the that little adhesive strip will stay behind in here. It'll cover up the screw holes. It's not the end of the world. Just get something in there and peel it out, and when you put the rubber bumpers or rubber strips back on, you just got to use some kind of mild adhesive, even just a few little drops of super glue, like mainly on the ends, maybe a couple in the center area to hold this on, or any kind of adhesive. So I'm just going to peel it off. Try not to stretch it if you can, otherwise it'll end up just a tad too long. try to put it back in the little slot, the little grooves here. But you can see there's a screw right here in the front. And in the back, I believe there's going to be 3 screws. So sometimes that adhesive strip that's on the bottom of these rubber bumpers will stay in there. And then when you go to put this back on, there's no sticky anything to put it back in. So if you just dig it out with like a little thin plastic tool, you can peel it out and then just use, like I said, some glue. So there's the back one. It's real thick. So just lay them out someplace and try not to get fuzzies on there. So there's 1 screw here in the front. All these HPs are similar like this, whether it's a 15 or a 14 inch. So like I said, just lay your screws out so you know what goes where. Oops. And back on the hinge areas, close to the hinges, it got some heavier duty black screws here. Just put those back in the right holes. A little extra support for the hinge area. And then there's another screw right here. But again, just put the right screws back in the right hole. So there's basically 1, 2, 3 different types of screws you're dealing with. Okay? So these are fairly easy to open. On these HPs, the way the back is designed here, it's pretty easy to get these started. If you want to get your Spudger tool, I use these Triangle Spudger tools. I have a link down below where you can order a bag of these for like $5. We're going to start right here somewhere in the edge where the seam, the palm rest meets the bottom. Just kind of getting that little seam there. If you can, carefully, and just kind of slowly work. You can hear it popping. That's a good thing. I'm going to get it started along the front. And a little bit over here on this side, and then we'll do the rest from the back. Because you get the front and these sides broke loose, it comes apart fairly easy. Just don't use any metal tools, metallic, because you will leave some nasty tool marks. So now that we've got it that far, I'm just going to carefully close my lid. Again, always make sure the laptop's off before you open it. You can see I got it started here. See, I was about ready to separate, but without jerking on it, I just go in the back here with my little plastic nylon spudger tool and just kind of do this. Kind of pop it up. Because sometimes along the back they're a little stubborn. So there. Now we can carefully lift it off. Here's what we got inside. Here's our battery. There's our 2 RAM slots. There's an empty one that's got an 8 gig stick. It's interesting, I need to point this out. This is a 8 gig stick, a DDR4 2666. This model only supports 2400. No matter what you do, where you look, this will only register as 2400. Factory RAM is always, I see that all the time. They'll put 3200 in a system that only supports 2666 and so on. So anyway, if they want to add more RAM later, I would just recommend they get a stick of 2400 to put in here, or a match set of 2 2400s to get rid of that. Because another 2666 will work in here, but it's just going to clock down to 2400, which is fine. It's not a big time gaming laptop, just mainly for productivity and maybe some light gaming. But here's our M.2 SATA SSD here. We got our APU over here. Like I said, battery, Wi-Fi card. That's about it, guys. And like I said, there's no caddy or anything that comes with this amount of 2.5 inch drive. Sorry, my phone fell over. So these are very difficult to find. Best bet is to contact HP support if you really want one, because there is a connector on the motherboard here, but you need the SATA cable connector and the caddy to go in here if you want to put a 2.5 inch SSD. I don't recommend an HDD. So let me get rid of this little Kingston 128 gig M.2 drive. But before I go any further, I am gonna show you how to take the battery out, because if you're a novice at home doing this, it's better safe than sorry. There's just going to be on the battery here in this corner, you got one screw here, and then there's two right here. And they stand out because they're kind of a silver color. So let's pop the battery out real quick. In case you ever have to replace your battery, you know how easy it is to take out. Sometimes I get in a hurry, and you could do this swap out of the SSD without removing the battery. Just be very careful. You don't touch anything on the main board or drop your tools or a screw bouncing around on there. It's 9 times out of 10, it'll short something out and you see a bunch of sparks fly, then you just brick your computer. So I'm going to take that out since I already started. But all you got to do, once you get the screws out, just kind of pop it up. And it pulls kind of back, just like that. All right, so there's the battery. But as an added precaution, you can open your lid carefully. You got it all open, so be careful. Slowly. And I'm going to hit the power button a couple times here. That'll discharge any juice that's flowing around in the circuits in there. All right, so now you can safely put RAM in, and if you touch something or even drop a tool in there, you should be okay, but don't do that. So here's our brand new P2 M.2 NVMe SSD we're going to put in here to do our clean install on. I'll have a list of what I'm doing and what I'm putting in here down below. Get my little M.2 screw. Again, I'm using a number 0 Phillips screwdriver for this. One screwdriver usually is all you need on a job like this. See, I kind of dropped my screw. With a good magnetic tip, of course. Couldn't get it in the hole, Dale. Just take your time putting it in. You don't want to cross thread it or strip it or anything. So there. We got that mounted in there. Now, some of you are going to ask me about, you know, heat pads and all that kind of stuff. Let me see here. There's no ventilation directly over top of this. There is some ventilation here that kind of runs across this area here where the APU is, the fan, and the memory. So if you want, you can put a heat pad on it, spread the heat out, a heat spreader. Not really necessary in a laptop like this. The label from the factory does help spread the heat out. Those labels are on there for a reason. Number 1, to tell you what it is. Number 2, to help spread the heat out on the NAND chips and the controller. So just for sake of demonstration here, even though it's not a gaming laptop, it's not going to be really taxing that drive a lot, I'm going to put a heat pad on there. You can buy these online just about anywhere. They're not expensive. I've been doing this so long, guys. I've done a lot of NVMe drives. I have never once had one come back with heat issues, ever. Even gaming laptops. So here's our thermal pad. I'm going to lay it on here, make sure I cover up the controller and the NAND chips. Careful on there, nice and straight. I'm going to put one on here. Just like that, and then we're going to peel the top part off. Once you put the cover back on the bottom, it's going to basically hold it in place. It's not going anywhere. Get my tweezies. Peel that off. There. So just to help out a little bit, a little extra heat protection, but there's pros and cons on both sides. Not using them, using them. Some cases, I've read many articles and benchmarks on where doing this actually makes it run hotter and vice versa. So there, we're protected. Okay, oop, guess we need the battery. So now we got that in there. We're not doing a RAM upgrade today. We're gonna put our battery back in place carefully. Gotta be careful of that ribbon cable there for the keyboard. And you're putting this back in. Don't wanna booger it up. Kind of drops right in, only goes in one way, as you can see. So yeah, with a clean install of Windows, faster drive. The drive I took out runs at about 540, 550 megabytes a second. Doesn't do too well, but it's pretty standard for that type of drive. Now we're coming up to about 2400, so it's about 4 times faster, if not a little more. We don't need to put a Samsung 970 or 980 or anything like that in here. That's just overkill for a system like this. That drive is fairly inexpensive. Now that your battery's connected, be very careful you don't accidentally drop a screw over here. There's all kinds of solder traces there you don't want to touch. The juice going there now. Be very careful. All right, so we got our 4 screws back in. We're good to go. I'm going to put this bad boy back on. Now, I'm not going to put all my screws back in until after the Windows installed, just to make sure we don't run into any issues. Now, when I first turn this on with my bootable Windows 10 flash drive in here, I'm going to start tapping the F9 key. That'll bring up the boot device options screen. All right, what do I do with my flash drive? Hate when I do that. Ah, it's way over here. I don't think I can reach it. I guess I can. All right, guys, I'm gonna pull on my cord here, sorry. All right, so I'm going to use a Windows 10 USB flash drive. It's got to be 8 gigabytes or larger. Download the Windows 10 Media Creation Tool. Just Google it. Simple. It's free. It'll create a flash drive with full version of Windows 10, latest edition on it, so you can boot off this and do a clean install of Windows. Windows will activate just fine because this came with its own Windows 10 digital license already. Yes, it was S mode, but sometimes I've noticed, let me find an empty or a USB port. So now I got my battery fully charged, so I'm going to forego my power cord. I'm just going to turn it on real quick. And I'm going to start tapping my F9 key. Should bring up our boot device options, hopefully. Come on. All right. Yeah, that's just basically CMOS saying, hey, something's different here. We got to hit enter to reboot, and then we'll do the F9. That's normal. Even if we would have added RAM, it would do that as well. So that's no worries. Change boot device order. So I'm going to choose my Kingston Data Traveler. That's my flash drive. We got an empty drive in there, SSD. It won't show up here. So I'll just hit enter. And I'll get the Windows 10 install going, and then right at the end, I'll come in and show you what we got, make sure our drive reads right. And there'll be a few things I'll download from HP's website, but with a clean install, you're not going to have all that HP bloatware and HP support assist and all that. Unless you want it, you can re-download it right from HP. You just punch in your model number. This model number is 14-FQ0032MS. I put it on the screen at the beginning of the video. Yeah, a lot of these HPs, brand new, up-to-date processors and RAM and whatnot, they'll come from the factory with a M.2 SATA SSD, and the model laptop absolutely will not support an NVMe PCI Express SSD. I come across a lot of them. But I've done 3 or 4 of these now with no problems using the NVMe drive. So there's our unallocated space for our new 500 gig SSD. Hit next. Get the files copying over. I'm going to let this go, guys, and it just should only take about 5 minutes, 6 minutes, and I'll come back in when it's just about done, so sit tight. Alright guys, I got through the first part of the Windows install. As soon as it reboots the first time after the install, you can remove your flash drive. So I'm going to choose United States for my region. The screen is going to stay a little...
Keyboard is set to US. Want to stick with that?
You're getting sassy, Cortana. I'm going to turn that down, sorry. US for my region.
Do you also type with
Gonna skip. All this stuff I'm skipping or saying no to, you can change easily later through your Windows settings. I choose I don't have internet here, that way I don't have to create a Microsoft account during the setup process.
Some time later.
It's not going to change really a whole lot.
Your account. Okay, now
No password, no local account either.
these are the settings Microsoft.
I like to turn all this stuff off in my installs.
Accept when you're ready.
Privacy stuff. For privacy reasons.
Hey, look,
Not now, Cortana. Sorry, I still love ya.
almost done.
Sorta.
Now. We just need to get a few more things.
So I'm going to let this get into Windows here. It shouldn't take too long.
Looking forward to helping out.
Now again, when you replace that M.2 drive in there, you can easily just put an M.2 SATA, larger capacity in there instead of NVMe drive if you don't want to spend a whole lot on a drive. But these P2 Crucial drives aren't overly expensive. But seeing it's going to be 3-4 times faster, what the heck. Should be able to go up to 1 terabyte, no problem. But again, a lot of these lower priced laptops come in S mode and they only have 128 gigabyte SSDs in them because they assume you're going to stay in S mode and use one drive, store everything on the cloud. But this is a very economical upgrade, yet we can get it out of S mode and they can have a full-fledged laptop and install any apps they want, not just Microsoft Store apps. Well, this is finishing up, guys. I just want to say thanks to everybody for helping get me to my first 10,000 and above subscribers. I really, really do appreciate it. It's hard to get content. This time of year it's been very, very busy around here. Actually, it's been very busy since COVID, unfortunately. It's just hard to do videos. For the most part, I'm a one-man show here at the shop, and I stay very busy doing repairs about 70% of the time, and I do have extra help when I need it, when I get really overwhelmed. All right, so we got back into Windows, press install. Now, like I said, the screen's going to stay dim until the video drivers are installed. It's not connected to the internet, so it's not going to find anything yet. Let me right-click and go to let me go to settings real quick and show you. Without being connected to the internet, you can see I am activated. Otherwise, it would say down here. I'm just curious, under System, go to About, and it is still in S mode, so I will get it out of S mode. I have a video on how to do that. It's free to upgrade from S mode to Windows 10 Home. Completely free still. Not Pro, just going from S mode to Windows 10 Home. You do it through the Microsoft Store, and you do have to create a Microsoft account to do that. But you can still keep it local without having to sign into the laptop every time you boot it up. All right, so let's go to File Explorer. Go to this PC. There's our 500 gig hard drive showing up nicely. So we succeeded. So now we went from 128 to 500. I'm going to get it out of S mode for them and get a few things from HP's website under their drivers for this model, just to make sure, including AMD Radeon graphics. So. Again, thanks to everybody, and thanks for watching. If you like it, give me a like. If you loved it, you can give me a sub. That'd be cool. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.